Ron Ross Radio Show podcast. Woohoo! Hey, this is Ron. That dude over there, and I'm pointing to my left, your right, which is John Travel Day Yaglensky, the executive producer and my partner in crime on the podcast. And thank you so much for following us here on a Friday morning. Yes, we're going to get to the obvious in just a second. Hang on to that thought. But we thank you so much for hanging out with us. As always, you can call and leave a message. 240-415-9090, 240-415-9090. Thoughts, comments, questions on pretty much anything under the sun. Also, make sure that you listen or tell your friends to listen. Thank you for subscribing. Mash that subscribe button for the YouTube channel and for our Facebook, as we are live just after 11 a.m. Eastern, and that is 8 a.m. Pacific. It is snowing where I am. We're expecting 2 to 4 inches. So right after this podcast, I got to dig my car out and head into work and do the, however, since it is, oh, by the way, I'm going to take over because I woke up with the sniffles and I have to blow my nose.
Okay.
So I'm going to mute. I'm muting. Go.
While we mute while Ron blows his nose. You all can watch this if you're watching the video portion of it. It's very exciting. There's a side blow. We've got a little wiggle of the nose, and now we're coming back, and we're
You know, I wasn't going to get into it so soon, but I woke up this morning, and I have a CPAP machine. That's the thing that helps you breathe for obstructive
sleep apnea, right?
Pulmonary, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it forces air up into your nose. And I woke up sneezing into my CPAP, and I sneezed 10 I went to bed just fine last night. My nose was perfectly clear. I woke up this morning, and now I just get this, the left nostril is killing me. So I am on an antihistamine. I'm on a little Benadryl to kind of dry me up. So I'm also a little loopy. It's not the remember the good antihistamines?
Oh, like Actifed.
Yeah, Sudafed, Actifed. Yeah, before the meth cookers ruined it for everybody. Yeah.
I mean, you go to school, like mom would give me some Actifed. I'd go to high school, and I'd be like, hey.
Yeah, it was an over-the-counter, little, it made you feel just fine, even though my nose was all dried up, the antihistamine. So anyway,
put you to sleep.
If you excuse me, I'm sniffling as well. It just literally happened this morning. So, pardon me. Okay. So, first, I know it's so gross. I want to give a shout out to my sister-in-law Mary, my brother's Joe's wife, in California, who has a birthday today. Yay! And it's a Friday birthday, and it's a 3-day celebration when it's a birthday. It was funny because growing up, I had birthday parties and we celebrated birthdays, and we had cake and so on. But out of the many wonderful, wonderful qualities that the greatest wife ever has that she's brought to this family is birthdays are sacred. It is your special day, and it's just for you. And the people around you who surround you, who love you, should acknowledge it and make it a very special day. And if they don't, it's not on them, but it's kind of on them. It's like, look, you should know this. And you should know this about she, and now about me, and about our daughters. And now we've become very proactive, where it's like, I don't sit back and like, oh, I forgot my birthday. I'll walk up to people at work. It's my birthday. Shake my hand. Wish me happy birthday. I'll tell them. I will tell them to do that. They're not going to know. They might not know me that well. I don't expect a card or a gift or anything like that. I'm just saying, wish me well. Take me out to lunch. Something. if it's on my birthday.
TGI Fridays. It's my birthday, people.
For a couple of years on my birthday, I would take my birthday off. Off from work, and I would take the greatest wife ever's birthday off from work, and just to surprise her. But yeah, birthdays are sacred. So anyway, happy birthday, Mary. And I know how old she is. I ain't saying ish. But Mary and Joe, happily married. Gosh, I have way more than the greatest wife ever, and we're 34 years this year. So, and John, you're not that far behind. You're what, 32?
1991.
Okay, so that would be
So October
32.
of this year would be 2024. That
Will
would
be
be
33.
3, but we're
Right.
32 right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a year behind.
Yep.
And but Joe and Mary have 3 wonderful sons, Zachary, Lucas, and Jacob. Zach is I don't know what he does now, but he was a film editor and moved out to California, film editor, but he's a guitar player, songwriter, singer-songwriter. He's opened up his own studio now and producing stuff, and it's really awesome. He just had a little baby boy. He's got 2 daughters. So it's really fun to watch him. Lucas, the middle one, is he was the drummer in the band, and then he went out to California, and then he was an actor for a while, and he was on Victorious with I forget her name.
Not familiar with that one.
It was a Nickelodeon show, and he
Oh,
was,
okay.
which is funny
Yeah.
because he was a drummer, and they handed him a guitar, so he was. But one of the other actresses on that show, it helped launch her career, and on a first name, Victoria Justice is the actress's name, but the other one who started her career on that show was Ariana Grande, and
Okay.
yeah, I know. I was interviewing Victoria Justice a couple of years ago for when I was at SiriusXM, and it was a Zoom meeting, and I texted Luke, and I said, "Is she going to remember you?" And he goes, "Oh no, absolutely not." So when I was talking to her, I said, "Look, my I've got my nephew." She totally remembered him, by the way.
Oh,
But
okay.
I took a picture of her just going, "Nope." I have no idea who you are,
Don't know
which was
Yeah.
which was very funny. And then Jacob, the youngest one, is a graphic. Oh, Luke just had a baby as well. Luke and his wife had a baby. Congratulations to them. I know I'm catching you up on like the whole extended Ross
Yes,
family.
apparently.
This is the West Coast division of the Ross family. And then Jacob and his wife. Jacob is a graphic artist and does all kinds of cool stuff. But I digress.
You
Okay,
did.
so today is Friday, which means
There it is.
I got it. I got the Git fiddle. And
Woohoo.
John and I were messing with our it's A minor. It's
My
a
dog
sad
has
chord.
fleas.
It's the
Fine.
saddest of chords. Hold on. C, G, D. My dog has fleas. My dog has D minor. Dog has fleas. All right, here we go. It's the Friday song. We're in C, by the way. All right, John, you gotta sing along.
Okay.
It's Friday, 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 Friday. Hey! And then you throw your hands up in the air. Let's go for driving. Then just the one hand, and you're probably not if you're listening to us live on our social media platforms. Wow, that was great fun. I haven't pulled the Git fiddle out in a long time to play the Friday song. All right, so I got to mess with my microphone settings now because it's just going to sound weird.
Yeah, well,
What?
we were doing this pre-show, and Ron's guitar was being sucked into the ether because of his settings.
Well, see, now you can hear my
Scary.
ooh.
Okay. Oh, no, here we go again.
All right, I'm turning it off. All right.
I like that. I like a little echo.
Reduce mic background noise.
Yeah.
Automatically adjust mic volume. There we go.
Here we go.
Now we're good to go.
We're cooking with gas.
Cooking with gas. Cooking with grease. The grease man.
Here.
4321101 1-800-33-DC-101. Time to wonder what it must be like to strap on a gun and pin on a badge and become a lawman. God, I love the Grease Man.
Oh, Doug track.
Grease Man was
for
East
people who
Coast-
don't know.
Yeah.
You might want
For
to
people who don't know, Grease Man was a morning guy at DC 101 in Washington DC, in the 80s. 82 is when he started.
Yeah.
Summer of 82. He replaced Howard Stern on DC 101, and he was there for like 10 years, maybe even more. 10 years, I think. Number one on the market. He told these silly stories, stupid stories, stupid.
Never have an ending.
Yeah, well, that wasn't it. The journey, it was the journey, not the destination. He very rarely had a good ending. But apparently part of his appeal, his bits, was that he had done every job. He had been an auxiliary police officer, so he talked about being a lawman and just his descriptive terms of Rooster tailing the gravel as I pull out and squeal out of the donut shop here after eating a Bavarian cream and dripping it down on the front of my uniform. And
did I tell you when I moved to South Carolina, I was listening to local radio, scanning around the local radio stations.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I heard a local car commercial for, a car dealership just down the road.
Oh no.
It
was it
Greaseman.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess at some point, they had him doing their spots and continued. Maybe he was, when he was national for a little while.
I could go on and on. I could do an entire 2-hour show on the history of Greaseman. Yeah, but he was heavily influenced me in my career. You can hear a lot of Greaseman bits, influences in my show, like singing along when we did the Friday song, right, or doing the what was it when we did the hometown hearts party, and I would even use a little bit of that inflection.
Yeah,
I actually bonded with the comedian Patton Oswalt. I was interviewing him a bunch of years ago, and he knew I was in DC, and he said, "Oh, DC, you grew up in Northern Virginia." And I said, "Yeah, I've worked at a bunch of radio stations around the area, Hot 99.5 and DC 101. He goes, "DC 101, did you work with Adam Smasher?" And I said, "No, he was before my time." Sure. Smash was the afternoon drive guy.
Oh my God.
Greaseman in the morning, Adam Smasher, Dusty Scott did middays. It was a killer lineup. And then Kirk McEwen at night. And they did, oh no, Steve Ski was doing afternoon drive. But anyway.
Steve Ski was
Steve Ski. Remember Steve Ski?
Yeah, he worked at I want to say
Philadelphia. That's right,
Philadelphia. Yeah,
what it is. Steve
3 WMMR.
I loved that guy.
You see, we've gone down a rabbit hole, people. We could talk.
I'm sorry.
About radio all day long and what our influences are, because it happens. I mean, we with Don and Mike, we still, when we do our question of the day, answer now, and good luck. That was from
total ripoff of Don Geronimo and Michael Mara.
Yeah,
the of Don and Mike, but Patton Oswalt, we talked about Greaseman, and he remembered the Greaseman.
Trying to steer us back on.
Are you steering us back on? Well, I just wanted to make that point. All right, so are you talking about woke up with the sniffles? Okay, so listen.
Wait. Okay, let's go.
Thank you very much.
On track. All right.
So, okay, back in, I want to say November, when things started to turn cold, I turned on the heat in the house. We have a heat pump, but we also have an electric heat, electric heat elements. If you turn it on, you can turn it on emergency heat, whatever.
That's never good, by the way.
And
for your electricity bill. Yeah.
John Yaglensky.
Did I just ruin your story?
Don't get ahead of me. Did you read the syllabus? Did you read the syllabus? No. Come back.
No, hide.
Come back.
Dang it. Sorry.
I thought, okay, you know what? I want to be comfortable in my own stinking house. Okay. I want the heat to be nice and warm and comfortable. So, and I keep it at 72 year round. Okay. On the heat pump, 72 year round. And, but I turned it up to 74. It was nice. I turned it on the emergency heat. And we got the bill. And it was quadruple what we usually pay. And Greatest Wave Ever was standing looking, you could see the electric box outside the window, the electric box outside the kitchen window. And she said it was just spinning like a top. And it was an actual real reading from our electric company. It wasn't an estimate because
Oh,
they do estimates every other month. And
right.
then they do a real reading every other month, and they take an average and blah, blah, blah. And no, this was a real reading. And so
Sorry
I had forgot. I was so comfortable in my own house.
to turn off.
It just ticks me
Mhm.
off so much that at my heat pump, I can't be warm in my own house. I've got to have a blanket. I've got to put this, that. I don't have a fireplace. So,
So you know how heat pumps work, right?
yes, I know
So-
how heat pumps work. And that's
Right.
why,
But-
well,
but-
was also told that anything under freezing and it's struggling kind of hard. So you should probably turn the electric on to help, which, it wasn't always that case. It wasn't always under. So whenever it was in the 40s or 50s and the heat kicked on, the electricity was on the entire time.
That time too. Yeah. So when you go to straight electric, rather than trying to pull the heat out of the air, which is what a heat pump essentially does, which is why, by the way, when you have a heat pump and it'll be on and then it'll say it's heating, it doesn't blow hot air.
No, it's not supposed to blow hot air.
Right. It just blows air at the temperature kind of that you're going for.
Well,
This
that
is
was,
why heat pumps were never a great idea in northern states. And I still don't to this day. Yeah.
it was an eye opener, and it
Yeah.
was not a bill that I needed right now, right after the holidays.
Right.
You
No,
came
nobody does. Nobody
just,
needs
just after the holidays, and oh my gosh. And as soon as I turned it back to the heat pump, as soon as I turned that off,
Yeah.
greatest wife ever, like, well, there it is. I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's on me.
Oh,
I did that. That
oh.
is my fault.
I think as Dave Ramsey says, you just paid some stupid tax.
I did. Well, as you can see in my, I
Yeah.
keep this jacket
Yeah.
in my home studio.
Yeah.
Because sorry if you're listening, I'm wearing a leather jacket that's seen better days. As you can see, I've got some big holes in it, and
Right.
it's kind of worn through.
It's got
But
the warmth.
I love this jacket. My parents get the zipper's broken on the front, but I love this jacket. My mom and dad gave it to me. But I keep it here in the studio, and I had to come up and I put it on because it's cold. So again, still snowing, and right after this podcast, I'm gonna have to go and clean out, shovel out my car for the second time. We had to shovel out on MLK Day on Monday. As it snowed, we had like 1 to 3. Now we're getting another 2 to 4. Oh, and it's staying
not
cold.
last year, right? You didn't have any snow at all.
It's been like 5 years.
But it was a long time.
Yeah, it's been maybe 4 years. It was that. Yeah, it's not been
Snow. Yeah.
measurable snow. Plus, working from home, I haven't had to dig out my car.
Right. It's true.
Didn't go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere, so I didn't have to dig it out. I just waited till it melted. So Monday, I had to shovel the snow, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a casualty. 59-year-old Ron Ross was shoveling snow.
Oh, right.
Strenuous activity. So what I did, I was almost like the grease man. Hey, 59 years old. So I would
Up.
He never knew, but by the way, I worked with the grease. I wound up working with the grease man at DC 101, which was a dream come true because I grew up listening to him. I would be late for class at the University of Maryland. I would sit in my car. I was a commuting student. I sat in lot 4, and I just wanted to hear what the next bit was going to be. So, but then I got to work with the man, but I had to work under a different air name.
Yeah.
So I was Rick O'Shea.
Oh,
So
Rick.
Yeah.
O'Shea. Rick.
Yeah. O'Shea. So he called me Rick. Hey, how's it going there, Rick?
So you never knew you under your real
I
name.
didn't know my name.
Sorry.
I was a little bummed about that. I did get to stay and get. By the way, you and I, Mark, your name's not Mark, John. You and I earlier were talking about some of our little vocal
right
crutches and so on.
Yeah, let's not go into that too.
One of the things that I do, and I was called on this like 30 years ago, and I still do it.
Okay.
I say get instead of get. I
Get?
say GIT.
Get. Y'all get.
Come on now. Go on now. You get.
You get.
Okay. So I think I am crossing over the line into old man geezerism. Geezer.
No, we're already
And
there.
there was
I
another
think you.
grease. That's another grease man. The geezer alert. Meh. Is I'm watching the Emmys. I'm flipping back and forth between the Emmys and the NFL playoff game that was that night. And it was the lowest rated Emmys ever. And it was Joe Coy, who is a comedian, great comedian, a Filipino comedian. Well, he's an American, but he's got Filipino lineage and he makes that part of his bits. But Joe Coy, hilarious. But as a host, one of the jokes kind of fell on deaf ears. People were not happy with he made a joke and he said, "What's the difference between the NFL and the Emmys?" He said the Emmys have less cutaway shots to Taylor Swift.
It's funny. I mean, I'm sorry.
I thought it was funny.
That's
Then they had a cutaway shot to Taylor Swift.
and it was one of those
Did not react. She did not react. She sipped from her champagne. Yeah.
crickets.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad.
No. Yeah.
It was bad. But as I'm watching this, and I'm rooting for my favorite shows, and I'm realizing now that I guess I just don't have the sense of humor that Hollywood today or critics have, because the show that won best comedy is called The Bear. And I was kind of drawn to that show. It's on Hulu because it's about the restaurant industry and it's about a chef and he comes back home. He's worked in like 4-star Michelin restaurants and stuff like that, trained under French chefs and so on. And then comes back home to operate like in Chicago to operate an eatery in some fashion. And he's trying to elevate everything. Now, I watched the first 2 episodes of that. And I know if you love the show, the next thing I'm going to hear is, well, you should give it another chance. Well, no, that's not your voice. I'm sorry. It would be, you should give it another chance and watch it through episode 5. Episode 5 is the best or whatever.
Right.
Did not laugh once. And it won best comedy. There's nothing funny about it, in my opinion. Nothing funny. And it beat Ted Lasso. Now, Ted Lasso is also not laugh out loud funny. There are parts of it that are humorous. There are things that I like about it, but I love the show because of the positive message and all of the wonderful things that come from Ted Lasso and his whole team and people around him and Roy Kent. And I love that whole culture. So I love that. Not necessarily laugh out loud funny,
Right.
but The Bear and even Beef, we talked about that last week. The Bear, I don't get it, man. And I'm going to say, I'm not going to say, well, I should have discounted my opinion by saying I don't have the sense of humor everybody else does, because my opinion is valid as anybody else's. So if I say it's not funny, it ain't funny to me.
Yeah.
And I do not get it. I don't get it. I just want to get off of my little soapbox right there, because you got a lot of people are going, oh, the bear, it's so good. It's so good. It's not, in my opinion. It's, it does give an accurate depiction, I think, of the restaurant business somewhat. Although here's a phenomenon, by the way, that the greatest wife ever and I noticed.
All right.
And it's usually in action films. I've worked in many kitchens over the years. I worked in a restaurant called Emerson's. Then I worked in a restaurant called Beefsteak Charlie's, and then Peter Pan restaurant, and then back to Beefsteak Charlie's.
Pan.
Yes. And then I worked in Urbana, where John grew his family and where he first resided with his wife and raised 2 sons. In Urbana, Maryland. Yeah, well, at the time it was just the Peter Pan. It wasn't called the Crack Claw.
I know.
But I worked there, and then I worked later on as in between radio gigs, because got to pay the mortgage. I worked at the Main Cup here in Middletown as a cook, as a line cook. Not once, ever, did somebody I didn't know walk through my kitchen. Ever.
Does this happen a lot in this show?
It takes place, not in this show. It takes place in every action show you've ever seen. When they're trying to get away, they run through the kitchen.
Oh, right. Right.
And not one cook stops them. Who the hell are you? Sorry. Who are you? What are you doing in my kitchen? Watch out. Slippery floor. Mainly, number one, it's an insurance nightmare because you have a slippery floor, a terracotta floor. And if you don't have the mats down, you're going down. You're going down, and it's not a forgiving floor. You're going to have a head injury. You're going to break a bone. It's going to be horrible. And then you have sharp knives all over the place, scalding hot pots and pans, boiling water, hot oil. You know, you could fall into a deep fat fryer. Your face could hit a flat top griddle. None of that ever happens.
These are good points.
They always run through the stinking kitchen. Not one server. Oh, by the way, when you just put on a serving jacket and all of a sudden you've become a server, all the servers where I work know who works there.
Right.
Not one person could walk in and put a main cup t-shirt on and walk through. I'm going, who are you?
Yeah,
Get
why-
out of my
why are you
kitchen.
walking?
What are you doing? Yeah, you don't work here.
Get out, donkey.
Take that shirt off. It's amazing to me.
Yeah.
I've never, and we, Grace Wife Ever and I, we pointed out every stinking stupid time we see it. We just finished Reacher. I think in Reacher, they of course running through the kitchen. Nobody says anything. Not one cook. You might get a look, but I guess they don't want to pay them to say a line because they're not after SAG.
Didn't that happen in Harry Met Sally too? I think I just saw that recently where they at the wedding they were arguing and they ended up into the kitchen or something, and
Never.
it's such a common thing in
Never in a million years. When you walk through those double doors and into the
Right.
kitchen, the servers would physically push you back out.
Yeah.
Again, it's illegal because health code violations. It's just it
Yeah.
cracks me up.
Anyway.
Cracks me up. Went off on a little tangent there. So I don't know if it's happened in The Bear because I haven't watched beyond 2 episodes of
I'll
the
bet you
very unfunny comedy of the year, according to the Emmys. I'm just gonna say I'm giving it
So you watched the
a
Emmys?
thumbs down.
You're one of the 3 people.
I flip exactly. I flip back and forth. I flip back, and then I missed the memoriam, which is the
Probably the only reason to watch it.
I watched it the next day, which
Yeah.
by the way, I didn't lose a lot of sleep because I knew I'd be able to catch a lot of the highlights. on
True.
YouTube.
True. Yeah. And
Gone are the days of I've got to watch this. I have to watch this while it's happening. And The Greatest Wife Ever is not a big fan of watching things as they're released and have to watch it like a peasant. She wants to binge it all in one sitting.
right.
And when I say, oh, the Reacher finale isn't until next week, or the Fargo finale isn't until next week. By the way, Juno Temple and Fargo should win an Emmy next year. I'm just saying. Sidebar. She was amazing. John Hamm. I don't like him playing a bad guy because I love John Hamm, but he was a real evil dude in this.
He was brilliant in the Progressive commercials.
He is.
Those were pretty funny.
He's got a good funny bone. He's got a very, very good funny bone. He was good in the what is it? The Unsinkable Kimmy Schmidt, Unbelievable. I forget what it was. He was great in that. Anyway,
Clearly, I don't watch enough TV, apparently. Good.
well, there's too much of it. Granny's Wife Ever now. We've got too much now. With she has started to go off on tangents to watch shows that she guesses with 98% accuracy that I'm not going to dig, and she watches them while I'm gone at work. However, I don't have that time alone to watch all my Disney, Marvel, and DC shows. And I'm behind in Titans. I'm behind on the Marvels. I'm behind on a bunch of comic book and Obi-Wan. I haven't finished that. I got to watch Andor. I haven't watched any of those, but I can't because we're together. I don't have time when she's not watching the television. But I did watch the Durrells last night with her. And she kept saying, we could turn this off. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm into it. It's a British dramedy, I should say. Okay. Again, it went off on. And then she picked one. I came home and she goes, okay, have you ever watched Girls? It was an HBO show back in the day. I want to say 2006, 2, 3, 4, 6, 5, 6, something like that. Lena Dunham created it, wrote it, starred in it. And I've been watching that with The Greatest Wife Ever, only because I'm fascinated with what they think is funny. Some of it's funny, some of it's laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
Some of it is funny. Some of it's very, very funny and very well acted. And I think this is what introduced Adam Driver to everybody.
Oh,
Because
okay.
he's great. Great. Oh, great. He's great. A lot of the cast members are, and you're like watching them going, oh, she's from the flight attendant. She's the lawyer and the flight attendant, and she was in Girls. Is that where she started? Okay, I get it. And I told Greatest Wife Ever, like a lot of the HBO comedies have a certain tone to them. It's interesting. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's very hipster, mid 2K hipstery, tattoos everywhere, and so much of the what going on. I mean, Grace and I are looking at each other, going, "Really? Again? They're okay. They're going at it again. All right, fine."
Mm, mm, mm. I feel like after I left radio, I have become less in touch with this kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, right. That makes sense.
You as the radio guy, you have to kind of keep your pulse. I said that word. So
It's okay.
keep your
Okay.
finger on the pulse.
Living things have a pulse. I have a pulse. It's okay.
Things
You
that
can
are
say
going
it.
on.
I have a heartbeat. Let's put it that way.
Which includes TV and such, and that scene there.
Pop culture.
And I feel
Yeah.
like I just have lost interest in all of that, which maybe is part of being an old guy.
Well, I said to a friend of mine,
Don't
Carl,
care anymore.
and do you know your?
I know
Did you meet
Carl.
Carl? You know Carl. Okay, yeah.
I know
You met
Carl.
Carl.
Yes, I know.
Love Carl. Carl Settlemeyer. He's great. He's a lawyer in
Yes.
DC, but I
I
grew up with
know
him.
him.
We went to University of
Yes,
Maryland together, and
as well.
he had a singer in a band.
Mhm.
Oh, I know why you know. Didn't his sister live near you?
Yes.
Okay,
We were
that's
friends,
right.
and then but then I met Carl many times at your parties.
At our parties.
Right.
And it was after the Grammys one time, and I posted something about, I'm like, I don't get this. It just sounded
Right.
like I was trying to give it the live performances I was watching. I was trying to give it its due, because I'm sure when my parents were watching the Beatles or whatever,
Right.
they were like, what is this mess? And I just said to nobody in particular, I think it was a post, I said, that was a cacophonous mess. Or maybe I just don't get it. Maybe it's just beyond me. And God bless Carl. He came in and just said, "No, you were right. It was a mess. It's not,
Hmm.
I'm going to concur with you on that. It was a mess. It was cacophonous." I'm like, well, I'm still trying to pick out the artistic. He goes, "Oh, it's somebody's taste, somebody's flavor, but they like cacophony. They like the mess, because that's what it was." I'm like, okay, all right, I get it. So, I mean, I'm grasping with and again, John, this is going to be the theme for 2024, because I turned 60 this year. I'm finding things that I'm now like, is it because I'm an old man, or is it because it's just not good?
Well,
Or is it just my opinion that it's not good? Or is my opinion that it's not good because I'm an old man? You know what I mean?
yeah,
See what I'm saying?
I think that was my point, essentially.
Okay.
That maybe we were raised in a moment of time, and we found collectively certain things funny and things like that, Austin Powers, stuff like that. And now it's
Animal,
not
right? Animal House.
style or whatever. I don't know. Maybe
I
other
guess.
stuff is
I
funny
guess.
now. Maybe the quick take nature of things like Instagram and TikTok have changed the way comedy is fun. I
agree with you. I agree with you on that. And it's odd you should say that with the TikTok, because one of the other shows that the Greatest Wife Ever and I love to watch is the Below Deck series of shows.
right.
So
Yeah,
Below Deck and Below Deck Mediterranean, Below Deck Down Under. And it's about people on super yachts. It's the staff on a super yacht. And I've sat there and watched it and counted it. And it's for they're never on one particular shot more than 3 seconds. And that's not an exaggeration.
dizzying.
Watch one of those shows.
Yeah.
There's 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, cut. 1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi cut. It's never, you're never on. Then they put the multiple frames up on screen. And I'm like, well, which one am I supposed to be watching? And then they'll pull one in and zoom in. And I'm like, okay.
By the way, are the kids taught the Mississippis now in school? Just wondering.
Or is it 1,000?
Second?
Is it 1,000?
Well, I mean, when we were growing up,
1,000, 2, 1,000.
3 Mississippi.
Well,
yeah,
well, it's funny because you and I start on 1. We'll say 1,000. That's actually incorrect. It should be 1,001. 0 to 1 second. The 1 denotes 1 second has passed.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I've done wondering. And like when kids now play hide and go seek, if they even do that now, they probably don't, because
my grandson plays hide and seek. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to count to 5. So
what's even funnier is
when you're running in to rush the quarterback and playing, football, you have to wait.
Oh yeah.
Before you
and you had to say it out loud. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, and then you could rush.
Yes.
Now I remember. Well, the funny thing with playing hide and seek with GS1 is when he hides, and I'm counting, and I get to 20, and I'm like, all right, ready or not, here I come. Are you hidden? Yes.
Yeah. Totally giving away. That's great.
And the greatest one. Pepper's laughing, and then Donna the owner's laughing. Everybody's laughing. However, he has mastered the mobile hiding spot. He won't stay in one place for very long.
That's illegal. That's an illegal maneuver.
Is it really?
You can't move.
No.
The whole point of the game is you're supposed to find them in their original spot. That's illegal. I would like that. I'm going to throw a marker on the play.
Okay. And then very briefly, I just want to say that we're watching Julia, and I guess it's because I'm old. It's about Julia Child, and it's in season 2 now, but we're only in season 1, about how she got her cooking show. The French chef, save the liver. She's very good. The actress is quite good playing Julia Child, and I realized that I like it because I'm old. It relates to the 60s and 70s, which I get.
I know the podcast title. Go ahead.
That's right. All right. So, oh gosh, we ran over a little bit. But John, you have to tell us, why in the world are we on a Friday celebration? Dean, the bartender, by the way, he's downstairs. Still dry January. Well, damp January. I'll just put it that way.
Damp?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I was at a loss for words, really, when I was throwing up the video to try and explain what happened. But essentially, here's the rundown. The lowdown and the mowdown on what happened was I was supposed to leave Jamaica on Monday.
Okay.
And I was supposed to leave at 6:00, headed to the airport at 3.
By the way, that was a Donna Mikeism.
I know.
Monday.
Montego Bay, Jamaica, where I was for a board retreat for my real job. And
so you weren't very engaged or interested?
Okay. Anyway, moving on. I was left for the airport at 3, was supposed to leave then at 6. I was watching if you're a frequent traveler, there are things you do when you travel. And among them, you look at where the flight is coming from that's supposed to then serve you to take you to wherever you're going.
Yes. There's more than just I show up, get on the plane.
Yeah, that the plane's
where's the plane coming from?
Right?
Okay.
You start learning, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this plane was coming from Texas.
Oh.
And pretty soon I then hopped on a weather app and I was like, what's the weather like in Texas? And it's like, it was freezing or below 0.
That's right.
Or below freezing, not below 0, unless you are in the Celsius scale.
Move on.
Anyway, but I digress. Anyway, I noticed the flight time that they were leaving kept getting bumped back, and as a result, then you kept seeing our flight being bumped back and bumped back and bumped back, and it just kept going. And I'm sitting there with one of my friends going, I'm going to be lucky if I get out of here tonight. Eventually, the flight did leave, but got to Jamaica. That flight probably around 10 after 10 p.m. Now, keep in mind, I've been at the airport since 3. So plane didn't leave from Montego Bay until 10:40 p.m.
Okay.
My connection in Miami was 10:30 to go to Savannah. Wasn't making that. Just figured, okay, I'm going to get there. I'm stuck in Miami, but better to be stuck in Miami than to do this all over again, possibly tomorrow, where maybe a flight will get delayed going there and we rinse and repeat. That's happened before for me. So I knew better. Anyway, got to Miami, landed 1 a.m. in the morning, come through customs, go out, long hallway, go through a door, figuring, okay, at the other side of the door, there's going to be American Airlines representatives greeting us and saying, hey, you know, for those who need to be rebooked or who those who need hotels, here's your rebooking, here's your voucher, blah, blah, blah. Came through the door, crickets, nothing. Literally, the airport is dead. It's 1 a.m. In Miami. I'm looking to the left, looking to the right. I wander to the right. I wander a little bit to the left. There's nobody around except for people who are like sleeping on the floor. And I thought, I don't want to be that person. So I get on the Hilton app and I'm like, okay, I'm going to book a room nearby. I'd already looked at some hotels. Then to realize that you can't book a current day stay after midnight. So I had to get on the phone, which took about 15 minutes. Got a hold of somebody. We got you, Mr. Uglensky. No problem. I just adjust the dates, whatever. We'll book you. Booked me at a hotel right nearby. I get at the hotel. By this time, it's 1:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And pull in, and the guy says, you have a reservation? I was like, yeah. And I pointed it out. He goes, oh, well, we closed the books on today. So that actually clears out that but we got you. We got a room. Don't worry. Which created billing problems later. Not even going to go into that. Went to the room. I know, right? I get to the room. It's 1:30, 1:45, whatever. At this point, go to sleep.
Yeah.
At 3 a.m., I get a text from American Airlines. Here's your hotel and here's your $12 travel voucher. 3 a.m. The flight had landed at 1.
Right. Well, you know, they did their job.
They did. So anyway, so woke up, stayed there till 12 noon. End of the story is went to the airport around 12:30-ish.
Yeah.
And my flight still didn't leave until 10 o'clock. Was there 10 hours in the airport lounge almost, and flew out. Got in Wednesday morning at 1 a.m. and then got home by 2 a.m. Wednesday.
Oh man. What a John.
I mean, right?
Oh, John. I'm so sorry. By the way, I just want to clarify, if you read John or you saw John's post about why it wasn't going to be on Thursday, but it was going to be on Friday, I did not make him do it. It's not under duress.
He totally did.
All I did not.
Like,
I said,
you got to post this one. I'm not posting.
I'll read the exact text to you, dude, because that is not what I said at all. The good try, though. That was
That's
a good
the way
try.
I read it.
Huh?
That's the way I read it.
Well, then that's on you.
What did you say then?
That's on you. Boopity pop up.
You know, I can just pot you down.
Sounds good. Yeah, I know you can.
It makes for a good story, Ron.
Well, I did call you names.
See?
No, I didn't. I did not. I'm kidding.
What did you say? Come on. So much for show prep.
Hey, glad you're home. Oh, you said, hey.
Yeah.
There you go. That's
Okay.
what I said. You,
Yep.
you said I'm up and awake and available, and I have stories. I said, hey, glad you're home. I can't today. Actually, have an appointment this morning.
Right.
I know, right? So Friday, and I
Right.
said, you get to post on the page this time. Please tell me how
I
that
I
is.
read that sarcastically.
And you said, okay, will do.
Right. No, and I was like,
John, I
okay,
know you meant it
will do.
sarcastically. That's your sense of humor. I got
I
it.
know. Well, I was
I
figuring you were like,
I
you were
understand what that.
basically saying, look, I posted the day before about the cancellation. I'm not doing it this day. You're gonna do it.
Your turn.
And I
Your turn.
like there was so I said I was under duress, that I was told to do this.
I said, please.
It-
So, by the way, when
it-
John and I used to work
Dark
together
humor.
back in the day, and
Yeah.
John and I were in at the radio station, we would have conversations at a high volume.
Yeah.
And it made other coworkers uncomfortable until we had to tell them, well, first of all, John and I, that's how we
Yeah.
converse. And then, when it's over, it's over. I've got, the half-life on whatever I've said is literally seconds.
Right.
After it's done, I'm over. I'm done. I've already moved on.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit there. I can't believe John Parker, because I probably raised my voice as well.
Right.
It's just the way we converse. So this whole thing wasn't a real thing, by the way. Just so you know. I'm just telling you, it was not a real thing. I'm like, John and Ron are
It's done for
bickering.
effect.
Bickering. All right. It is. It is done. All right.
Do it for the good of the show, people.
Oh my God, we've been rolling. Here we go. Let's try to squeeze it in, because it's time to get the gray matter working. Fire off the synapses, engage the frontal lobe, form new neural networks, utilize the cerebrum. As Pooh says, it's time to
boom, boom. Think.
ding. Here's the dun 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 question of the day. The QOD, playing for pride, not prize. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
Today's question of the day.
Question of the day.
The Emmys were on Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and the Bear's not funny. Saturday Night Live has the most Emmys of all, and also for a comedy, with 84 wins. Hold on, I'm coughing. Hang on.
By the way, I've had a cough for a month. Some point we need to talk about that too.
Okay, we're good.
Mhm.
84 wins. Saturday Night Live has the most Emmys of all, and for a comedy with 84 wins. What primetime comedy has the most Emmy wins? Because Saturday Night Live airs outside prime time. So what primetime comedy has the most Emmy wins? Super duper give it away clue. It's from the 90s and has been revived 19 years after it went off the air.
Oh, I think I know.
All right, one more time. Emmys were on Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. birthday observed, and actually was Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, the 15th. Saturday Night Live has the most Emmys of all, and also for a comedy with 84 wins. What primetime comedy has the most Emmy wins? Super duper give it away clue. It's from the 90s and has been revived 19 years after it went off the air. Answer now, and
Good
luck. Oh my goodness.
This is an easy one, I think.
Coffin. What? I shouldn't have given the clue.
Yeah,
I think I gave too much away in the clue.
yeah, I would have never had it otherwise.
I gave too much away in the clue, I think.
You did.
Dun, dun,
Bum,
dun.
bum, bum.
All right, here it is. The QOD question of the day for Pride Not Prize one more time. Emmys were on Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. birthday. Observed. Saturday Night Live has the most Emmys of all, and for a comedy with 84 wins. What primetime comedy has the most Emmy wins? Super duper give it away clue. It's from the 90s and has been revived 19 years after it went off the air. What show is it?
Okay, let's
All
go.
right.
Let's go to the board here. Here we go. Ready?
All right, first answer coming through. Gregor McGregor says Friends.
Really, Greg?
Oh,
When was there a Friends revival?
well, there was a reunion.
Well, but that's not a revival.
Well, okay.
A little different.
That is incorrect, by the way. Incorrect. Friends
Okay.
is not.
Oh, there's some. One just came in that I'm like, maybe that might be it. All right. Anyway, here we go. Second.
Right. Who's next? James Colback says Frasier.
Yeah.
Oh, baby, I hear the blues are calling. Tossed salad and scrambled eggs. That's correct. It's Frasier.
Is
There
it?
you
Oh,
go.
okay. All right. Well, let's see what everybody else
Yes.
said then. Okay, here we go.
Ooh, there you go. Susan said Frasier, which I haven't watched this. Yes, Madcap Frasier.
But this was the one where it had me going questioning my answer for a second.
Why? The Connors.
Roseanne, obviously.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
And they were from the 90s.
Greg,
people are watching it again. Yes, they are watching it again.
Yeah. So,
but it's on Paramount Plus. I haven't watched it yet, though. The reboot
the Frasier thing
or the revival.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's not
I don't
great.
know, like Night Court came back too, right? So I watched it. I watched one episode of the Frasier, and I thought, I don't know if I need to watch this again. Like the original was so good.
I don't have a desire to go back and watch it.
No, and they put a new cast of characters, and really they didn't bring back pretty much anybody except for him, and there were so many good people on that original show.
There's only a couple of shows I think that have come back in a revival that were actually as good, and Will and Grace is one.
Yes,
the reboot or the revival was excellent, just like the original. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head. So, gosh, should I get into this? We have
I saw something recently, by the way, where I just want to bring this up. That I saw Seinfeld talking recently.
Yeah,
that for people who weren't happy with the way the show ended, that he and Larry were working on something, but he couldn't say what it was.
Oh no, really?
Yep.
I don't want to revisit that.
I could see a one-off.
Okay, the Seinfeld ending.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like that with How I Met Your Mother, which a lot of people did not like the way that ended, the series finale as well. And that is the Seinfeld ending. When I watched it, I felt a little ripped off. I felt like I was kind of getting slapped in the face with, like, you liked these guys? These guys have been jerks the whole time.
Yeah, correct.
Right. And then afterwards, after I sat with it for a while, excuse me, after I sat with it for a while, I realized, oh yeah, they were jerks. Absolutely. And I guess that's what I thought was funny about it. So I guess you made a very good point, which is these were reprehensible, abhorrent, horrible people and the way they behaved in their lives. He's a close talker. He's got man hands, all of these things that are just ripping people apart. And it finally came back to bite them. And with them sitting in jail. So, by the way, spoiler alert if you haven't watched the series
at the end,
for Seinfeld,
spoiler
because the Good Samaritan law. Yeah. So it did bring up, and it got me to thinking, what are my favorite sitcoms of all time?
Okay,
and I got a list, and I'm gonna go in countdown order.
Wow.
Okay, and try not to choke here. I don't know why I'm being attacked right now. 1 second.
Yeah, it's, again, like I said, it's the whole thing.
If you're watching the video, you're getting a totally different show than what you're hearing. Because my face is all red. I know
something's going on. Nothing like,
I'm hacking up something. I think a lot of this is a side effect of the antihistamine. Okay, so my all-time favorite sitcoms in order, or countdown order.
All right,
and number 4 is Friends. Although I find it difficult to watch now because of Matthew Perry. It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's sad and tragic. That's why I don't like to watch Robin Williams movies anymore. Because it's very sad. I idolize that man. And then at number 3, and we still watch it to this day, and still have a lot of big laugh out loud moments, is The Big Bang Theory. I'll just say, thoroughly love that. And that's one of the few situation comedies where I will allow the drama because they have really good, poignant, dramatic moments. Excuse me. At number 2, speaking of Robin Williams, was
Yeah.
Mork and Mindy.
I find this
I
interesting, by the way.
I had doubled over tears, laughing moments watching Mork and Mindy in the earlier years.
No.
In the later years, it was, whatever.
It got weird.
In the first couple of years with the egg, fly and be free. And then, crying on the floor. Probably wouldn't translate to today, but just loved that show. And number 1, and will still laugh at it if it's on, and The Greatest Wife Ever, and I try to seek it out, is, now I loved Happy Days, but it was not nearly as funny.
Right.
Laverne and Shirley. Laverne and Shirley was the modern day, well, for the 70s, a revival of I Love Lucy. Now, the reason why I Love Lucy's not in there is because it wasn't from my generation. It was from, it was, I always watched the rerun. These are when they were on in prime time, and I was glued to the television and had to watch it. And Laverne and Shirley, for my money, that's it. Still to this day, I think is one of the most extremely, and again, the early years. The later ones, when they moved to California, it was kind of
it got weird.
Clearly, it jumped the shark. Speaking of Happy Days, it jumped the shark.
Right.
So, John, you got a list? Can you put it together? Can you put one together?
I didn't know I needed to put together a list, but my number 1 would not be on there, and that would be Everybody Loves Raymond. I laugh more out loud to that show, probably because it mirrors my life pretty well. I mean, my dad is Frank and my mom is Marie.
Are they that obtrusive on your life?
Not quite that way.
Careful, this is a national podcast.
No, I love my parents, but there are some Frankisms that certainly that my dad has, and my mom. There's a literal point where she gave us a recipe for her. She's a great cook. She's known for just the spaghetti sauce and the meatballs, or as we call it Italian, the gravy, instead of the sauce, but gave us the recipe for that, and we thought the recipe was pretty good. But it wasn't just like her recipe. And then she this was like 3 or 4 years after came over and we were making it, and she goes, "Oh, well, don't you?" Or no, we went to her house. We were watching her make it. That was it. And she was making it. And Stacy goes, "What did you just add there?" "Oh, that's such and such." "That totally isn't on our recipe." "Oh, I must have forgot that." And then it goes to the Raymond episode where
she left it off on purpose.
Deborah to cook and put a label over a spice, oregano label over the tarragon bottle.
Oh no!
And so it was like, it was good, but it was a little bit off, So
there was what was the one where they specifically left an ingredient out on purpose, so it wasn't going to be as good as theirs.
I think that was Take Pizziole or something like that, or
I don't know. I don't remember.
Anyway, so that would be my favorite. Although,
Deborah, Deborah. That's my Everybody Loves Raymond.
Everybody.
Okay.
Just another, a more recent one that it's a sitcom, but it's cartoon or animated. Bob's Burgers is one of my favorite, where I just I'm going back now and watching the back catalog because I wasn't in on the original train, Bob's Burger train. And it's so good. And to that end, King of the Hill is still fantastic if I'm going down the cartoon side of things that are sitcoms. But Bob's Burgers is just quietly brilliant. It's one of those where, how you say after a podcast, you go back and you listen and you hear little things.
Right.
Well, every episode is just filled with those.
Oh, yeah.
Little things. If you're not paying close attention,
Well, great. And that's one of the ones The Greatest Wife Ever said. She goes, that's really funny. And I've never really spent a lot of time with it.
Written. And at the end, like a lot of times, they'll have, the little ending credits where you expect it just to be the same thing every time. They always add stuff in that relates to the show. And last night they had some sort of wrestling match of crustaceans, and then they had the crustacean wrestling match song. The show, it was like they went through the trouble of actually writing a song, performing it, producing it, and putting it at the end. And they're just dancing while he's flipping burgers to this crustacean wrestling lead.
Friend of mine, and speaking of which, the man who does the voice for Bob also did the voice for Archer. And
Yes.
Archer was one. So friends of ours, they just swore by Archer as hilarious. If we're going down the animated, because if we're going to go to that, and that could be another show.
And there is one other one that Jim brought up, and absolutely. WKRP in Cincinnati is absolutely one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. And I feel like it was very true. I worked in those sort of environments. We had Herb Tarlick, the small guy. We had the big guy. And I won't go into who that was, but other things. I mean, just the cute receptionist, the programmer who was too cool for school. It just was such a perfect caricature of what radio was like in many
and supposedly based on like a real radio station. And then I just thought it was funny because it was KRP, which stood for, I told you my Kemosabe Joe story and WKRP, right? Did I tell you that?
I don't think so.
Kemosabe Joe did mornings for 1,000 years here in Frederick, Maryland on Z104, Kemosabe Joe. It was a top 40, screaming top 40 radio station.
Yeah.
So Kemosabe Joe, bad jokes and Red Neckerson. And, he had these sound effects where everybody went, "Good morning, Kemosabe, good morning," as he's talking into a record, whatever. Screaming top 40 morning show.
Yeah.
This is about the same time that Greaseman was hitting all cylinders.
Legendary.
DC 101. Yeah. So Chemo, they had and we call it chemo for short, and you don't realize you're going, oh, sure, that's kind of like chemotherapy. So there was a convention in the Washington, D.C. area, radio convention called the Bobby Poe Convention. And all the industry, program directors and music directors or whatever, and they would all go to this convention to supposedly, improve the business, whatever a convention would be. They had panels, discussions, and so on and so forth. But really what it was you had record company guys with their gold cards
who could take you out.
Who would take you out and wine and dine you and try to get you to play their records. And
right.
So on and so forth. So one of the panels they had at the time is they were walking around the cast of WKRP. This new television show is coming on the air, and it's going to be about radio. So they brought some of the cast, the producers, to the Bobby Poe convention in order to get a feel for real radio. Disc jockeys, program directors, the management, general manager, so on and so forth. Yeah. And so they got Howard Hessman, who played Dr. Johnny Fever, who had been a night guy his entire career, if you ever watched the show. And they decided to stick Johnny Fever on, because Johnny Caravello was his name. And they were going to stick him on mornings on the new format for WKRP, which, by the way, when Gary Sandy, the program director, I forget the character's name,
Randy Travis,
when he unveiled the new format, it was a poster of Kiss, by the way. He unveiled a poster of Kiss on the wall.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was the Spirit of 76 poster of them with the, anyway. So, Howard Hessman was at this convention, the Bobby Poe convention, and he was talking to some people, and he knew that Kemosabe Joe was there and that he was a morning guy. And he said, all right, what can I do to make my morning man authentic? Mm-hmm. What affectation can I do? Is there something I should say or whatever? And Kemosabe Joe said, always carry a coffee cup.
Oh, wow.
And if you watch the show, any reruns of the show,
literally always has a
Dr. Johnny Fever always has a coffee cup because you're always
tired. Right.
when you do mornings.
That's brilliant,
And
actually.
it came from Kemosabe Joe from C104, Frederick, Maryland,
Wow.
which had the old WLS Chicago jingle. Da-da-da-da-da, Z104, which used to be WLS. Okay, I think
Right.
that's about enough. We've
Yeah.
gone over time, and I
We have.
apologize.
Yeah.
I haven't. I hope you enjoyed this. I haven't seen a whole lot of comments flying by, so I don't know.
You
if
missed a
people...
lot of them as there were things that were coming in, and
Okay, all right, good.
them up
I
there.
didn't see a lot. I'm like, oh no, nobody's listening.
No, there were some things that came in, and you were in the middle of telling stories and stuff. So I think. You
Okay, well, what have we learned in today's podcast? Bear's not funny.
Don't travel with John.
Don't travel with John, or if you a little travel hack from John is that always make sure you find out where the plane's coming from
That's true.
and the weather in that area to predict any kind of delays.
Good.
And always get your own hotel room. Don't depend on anybody else.
Correct.
Company, right?
They're going to pay.
And what's that?
They're going to pay me back for that. Supposedly, American is.
And if you're trying to evade the police, or if you are the police and you're trying to chase after somebody, always run through the kitchen of a restaurant, because you will not be disturbed in any way, shape, or form, and nobody will ever stop you or question you being there.
Right.
And it's the easiest thing in the world to imitate or pretend to be a server, because nobody there knows who else works at this restaurant. You can just be a total stranger,
knock the guy out,
carry a tray, and throw on a jacket, and you'll blend in completely, and nobody will notice you at all.
Correct.
We've learned that as well. All right. Hey, you know what you could do, and I would love to see that, and we'll talk about it next week. If you could put in the comments section on Facebook or on our YouTube channel your 4 favorite sitcoms, 4 favorite comedies. And we'll get into the animated stuff later, because I think South Park is.
Yeah, I think it deserves its own category.
It deserves its own category, because they can go into different areas that a 3 camera in front of a live studio audience can't necessarily go into.
Correct.
But pop those up on the Facebook and on our Instagram and on our YouTube channel. And thank you so much for listening. And you can get the audio portion of this. Make sure you Ren Bud just posted Ren and Stimpy.
Yes.
I loved that show.
I know you did. And Pinky and
You
the Brain. And
idiot.
I know. All right.
It's so good.
I'm giving him the signal.
Oh, he's giving me the wrap-up sign. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Well, I'm ready to and now I gotta go shovel my vehicle.
You gotta go.
Get into work. Yeah, exactly. And you got to work too. John's got a job.
Yes, I do. It's a work day.
This
is my lunchtime.
It's still a work day. Okay, very good. Listen, put your sitcoms in the comment section. Thank you so much for listening. And we really do appreciate it. It means the world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Taylor says, thank you, Ron and John. Have a great weekend. Absolutely.
And
we're sitting in tonight, but tomorrow we're going to try to, Grace Wife and I are going to try to find some sort of trouble to get into.
Good.
It'll be a blast. Oh, I wanted to talk about game night. All right. We'll do that next week. All right. Listen, please take care of yourselves and each other. Please be safe. Ron Ross. Love you, mean it. Bicycle.
Bye now.